All right, hashtag randomly with Ronnie Jr. What is up? It is about that time that we talk about the beach cities. It's only appropriate that we do this. Now, listen, I grew up in Southern California, obviously. By way of my podcast, I talk about New York a lot, have had a lot of experiences there too. But SoCal is really, essentially a home based, for the most part. And I wanted to get together with a longtime friend, Louis Palacios, the Palacios group, Compass, uh, and talk about the beach cities. First of all, Louis, how are you doing? Thank you for joining the podcast. And I really feel like, based on the knowledge that you have, not only growing up in SoCal, but also being involved in real estate, I think we're going to really talk about these cities in a way that feels authentic and kind of showcases maybe things not everyone knows about. How you doing, man?
Totally, man. Well, first off, appreciate you having me on the show. Super excited. I'm a big fan, so I'm excited to be here. But I'm good. I'm good. Just pumped to talk shop a little bit and kind of show
Yeah.
South Bay in a different light.
Yes. The first thing I think we got to mention is, and this is going to be fun. Most of what I do is a lot of in the pop culture space. Obviously, I worked in radio and all these things, so maybe some of that will come out too. But I really feel like one thing that I like to do, and I really want to pick your brain in terms of real estate too. I love to sit back and consume content that has to do with neighborhoods and develop new developments and the history, like anything. You check all those boxes, I'm interested. It's almost as if I should have been in real estate myself. Instead, radio was my way. But this is where we're at, Louis. You can do it all. You can do it all. You could create your own platform by way of YouTube and podcasts and kind of talk about that. So the first thing I want to do before I talk to you about you and why you were drawn to real estate, I want you to kind of give me an example. I don't know that everyone realizes necessarily all that LA has to offer. When you look on the map, Los Angeles is, of course, known for all these major little neighborhoods or whatnot. And the beach cities are known. The South Bay is known. Long Beach is known, all these things. But sometimes I feel like it's not all the way understood. What is your overall take on living in, Southern California and that whole vibe?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we're still a well-kept secret to an extent. I think a lot of the maybe pop culture migration, or even some of the more Beverly Hills.
You were saying Beverly Hills is what?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, I think a lot of the residents who typically would go into Hollywood or Beverly Hills, or even parts of the West LA area, have come down to Manhattan Beach. So I think Manhattan Beach has gotten a little bit more notoriety. But I mean, we're leaving out beautiful Torrance, South Redondo, Hermosa Beach. I mean, those are some hidden gems that still can be a well-kept secret.
In 1 second, I want to talk to you about, what got you into real estate, but I did want to make a mention, seeing the difference. I've lived everywhere for the most part. And I've lived in, Studio City and those neighborhoods or whatnot as well. But there is something really special about these South Bay cities. I was telling you, as we were getting ready to record, it was like, in my mind, I feel like there was an era that, like, things were so separate. But I think now with social media, like, people are living in these beautiful neighborhoods, and it's not necessarily you got to go here to chase your dreams, or you got to go here to live in a suburb. It's kind of mixing together. And I think when you mentioned Manhattan Beach, it's funny because Manhattan Beach is such an interesting place, because I realize it is essentially beach cities, suburb, or whatever. But I believe a lot of the professional athletes out of LA are also trickling into Manhattan Beach. And today we're going to talk about Redondo, Hermosa, Manhattan, but just the whole thing is a little fascinating to me. I mean, for you and I, we know it, but I don't think that everyone knows it. And it's kind of like a cool thing to, talk about it.
Told. I think the landscape in general has completely changed. And even people who are native to the South Bay, like you and I, Manhattan Beach is still, I don't want to say new, but we're still exploring it, because things have changed so much.
Right.
Okay. You get a lot of athletes, that's for sure.
And I'm excited to, like, we'll break down each little neighborhood. So I need to know what got you into real estate. Talk a little bit about that. And the reason I'm going to mention that is because when I used to work in radio, or being in and around radio, there was always this thing like, oh, people who work in radio, if if that dream doesn't happen, you go to real estate. Like, I'm not saying it's like a thing. Like now
Yeah,
things have changed
totally. Yeah.
because it's
Actually,
like, yeah, you kind of like, yeah, you're, I don't know. I just remember it. I remember starting radio, and I started radio in 2001. And it was like, okay, if you don't make it in radio, go to real estate. Now, I never took that route yet.
yeah.
But I'm saying, like, it's fascinating to me. So I
Yeah.
guess what I want to ask you about real estate is, what do you think about the pop culture aspect of it? Because I mean, there are TV shows now that are popping up everywhere. The Million Dollar Listings really was one of the first shows that got me excited about just like, oh my God, I get to learn all about these neighborhoods. And even the guys or girls, or whoever was the real estate agent, their ambition was through the roof. And sure, some of the shows are like selling the OC, and it's just, a little more glossy. But even
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah.
Property Brothers or Married to Real Estate, Married to Real Estate. In fact, Egypt is a former radio personality for many years, like top tier radio girl, and like her show's doing really well. So I wanted you to talk to me about like what got you into real estate in general, but then also what do you think about the pop culture aspect of it, the social media aspect of it, or maybe even what we're doing here? Like in theory, we're making a show about these beach cities right now. Like that's cool to me.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, first, I guess what got me into it was I was finishing up college. My folks were buying an investment property, and the real estate agent that they used was just garbage. I mean, he was the worst. He didn't do anything. I was the one who found the property, who got my parents through the escrow process, which is the process of buying a home. And it was very foreign to them. And so after we got done with the transaction, I kind of asked around. I was like, I wonder, or what did he make off of that deal? Because he didn't find the house. He really didn't do much. And when I found out what he made, I'm like, man, like this guy just made X amount of dollars in less than 30 days. And he did a crappy job. I mean, if I can certainly do that and way better. And so I was at a crossroads at the time. I was just finishing up school, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to get my real estate license. I'll give myself a year. If within that year I don't make it happen, and it's not something that's sustaining my lifestyle or myself, then I'll go off and figure something else out. But luckily I made it within that year. We're 6 years deep and doing great. So that's what got me into real estate. But I think the flip side of that coin is that I just love interacting with people,
Okay.
and that's true every single day. It's just all about the people. That's what makes it fun, for sure. That's what makes it worthwhile. Yeah.
And there is a thing of not to go too behind the scenes or whatnot, but Lewis, my brother's condo, you took care of that. And to see that experience, in terms of being a longtime friend, but like seeing how you can make somebody happy, that of course is
That's
amazing.
everything.
I'm still in my radio journey, and things aren't all the way there. But when I buy my, big expensive house in Manhattan Beach, maybe I'll give you a call. Can you
baby?
can you do me a favor and tell me kind of we're going to talk about Redondo, Hermosa, Manhattan in a second, but can you tell me like what I was asking in terms of like the social media influence or the televised influence? Are those shows good for the industry? Are they just like fun to watch? Is it sometimes frustrating to see maybe them not
They're fun
going
to
through
watch.
they're fun to watch. Okay.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. They're super entertaining, and I think some of them definitely add more value than others. Some of them are a little bit more, shined up, as you said. They're a little bit more risky, and unfortunately, those do kind of give. I don't want to say a bad rap, because at the end of the day, I think it definitely puts a spotlight on the industry, which is neat. It could definitely put cast a shadow, and
Right.
This industry is extremely difficult to be in, and it's even harder to stay in. And so, when you have certain shows following a camera, an agent goes into the house, they get the listing right away. It's not that real. I mean, I can tell you firsthand, it'll take me 6 months to a year sometimes to get a listing contract signed and for a seller to give me the green light to move forward. And a lot of that isn't portrayed. There's a lot of groundwork, and we work for free that whole time, until, even if we get the listing and we list the house, we still got to sell it, and a lot of times that's something people forget.
Okay, so I'm gonna look at the positive though, because again, I don't work in that business, but I also watch, when I would watch Million Dollar Listing, Ryan Serhant. To me, yes, like the job was the job was the job, but to see what he's done with it in terms of he's got a podcast, he's got a book, he's got a whole division that creates production around real estate and real estate adjacent type stuff. Like to me, it's informative, it's motivating. So
Yeah,
while I think that would be the same thing as somebody coming into my world and looking at radio. I always want to do the most epic interview. I always want to do a series that's like behind the music, true Hollywood story, really dig
yeah,
in. But at
yeah.
the same time, nowadays, the landscape of media is like, quick clickbait,
Sure.
social, fast social clips and stuff
Yes.
like that. So
Agree with that. Yeah.
it's like I agree with what you're saying. Like real estate is still a job in itself, but like watching it on the TV is a different form than what you actually do. But
For
it's
sure.
adjacent to
And
it.
don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I mean, a large portion of like how I carry myself and how I carry my business is based on Ryan Serhant and his career. I mean, he's definitely someone that I idolize in the space. He's done it right, and you may or may not know this, but Ryan is probably the only real estate personality on television that owns his own brokerage. He started from leasing out apartments to now running a media company slash brokerage, which I think he's the only one that's doing it. And I think that's huge. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, no, like I said, when I watch those guys on the television, first of all, I think Million Dollar Listing should be on forever. I don't know why it was like, oh, all of a sudden the sellings
Bring
come in.
back Luis, bring back Eklund. Let's put them
Yeah.
all in the room. Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, they are motivating, and I think I have followed a little bit of Ryan's stuff, and yeah, it doesn't really match me completely in terms of what I do, but yeah, like you said, he's created his own media company. The content that they do is like the most enriched experience of New York. They're going to give you everything, and it's definitely quite motivating.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm a big fan of what Ryan Serhant did. I think his original tagline was something like, what was it, like sell always and always, or
always and always.
what was it again? Go ahead.
And always and always.
It's just like
And always and always. Yeah.
sometimes you got to be tenacious at what you do. And if you love working with people and kind of ushering them into their dream, then there you go. That's one thing about you is when I've heard you talk about the work that you do, because we'll talk about like pop culture too, but like you say that you enjoy like ushering in people these opportunities, for maybe a daunting and an overwhelming experience. And I think that's what it is. Like, who wants to go into this and feel like, oh my gosh, am I going to be fooled, or am I going to be in a situation that's going to cause more problems?
Too, I think along the way we've become a little jaded and maybe like desensitized to the fact that we're talking a lot of money here, and for a lot of people, it's their life savings that they're putting into a house, and so as an agent, it's something that we have to keep in mind. We're not always talking about $12-30 million homes, right? I mean, we're talking about entry level homes or someone's first condo or whatever it may be, and it might be every dollar that they have to their names, And so a lot of the times it's just making sure that they feel comfortable with the process, walking them through it. It's not just the glitz and the glam.
Well, because I'm going to be one of the great talk show hosts of my time, get ready for it. We will be doing a $30 million home for me. You have to manifest these things sometimes. Ryan Serhant did. He was a hand model, and now he's doing all the things he's doing.
One of the first YouTube videos that he put up, once he started getting into like the more social media aspect of his business, one of the first YouTube videos was he said something in there, but along the lines of like, if you're not looking at yourself in the mirror every single day and telling that person that you're the best at what you do and no one else is better, that might sound a little narcissistic, but the way he says is like narcissism is like the new confidence. Like you have to walk out there letting the world know that there's no one better than you,
Right.
And I think that's super important. I love when he says that because it's so true.
I was going to ask you, I think you read his book, but going off what you just said a second ago, yeah, I think there's so much space for being humble. And I think a lot of my growing up experience was that. Yeah. And I think when I struck out into the world, so to speak, going after my dreams or whatever, I learned that like you go so humble, which is nice. It's nice. It's nice. But
how do you let people know?
Huh?
How do you let people know that you're the best at what you do? You got to tell people because no one else is going to do it for you.
Right.
Like my mom loves me, my dad will always be there for me, but they're not going out, spreading the Palacios group word. And so, someone's got to do it.
Well, and here's the thing too. It's like I think also you have to put your money where your mouth is a little bit, Lewis, too. So, like, yes, there's moments for being humble, cut your teeth, hone your craft, or learn the skill set that is necessary to be the best at it. Now, and again, humble is good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's been points in my career where I've utilized that humble, softer side of things, and I didn't really get to achieve what I wanted. So, what I'm saying is put your money where your mouth is. You're only going to make that proclamation of like, I am going to be, whatever it is. For me, again, I want, to be one of the great talk show hosts of our time. I want to create a show that's very Regis and Kelly, like that's a format I feel like I would do really well at. On top of having 20 years of radio experience and production experience.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to tell you, and I know you agree, or I feel like you agree, I feel like we're both of the school of Ryan Serhant to a degree, is you will never say that if you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
So I have other interests,
Yeah.
but you don't see me getting, big and loud for those interests because I don't really know what I'm doing. I gotta believe that, like, I care about broadcast so much. I wanted to bring good content. I wanted to talk about the beach cities. I wanted to get an amazing, person like yourself to chat with, about these things. You have to know that, like, I'm bringing a good product to the table, right? I don't know.
1,000%. And I guess I should say that, like, it's not, this isn't how I felt starting my career. I definitely knew that I had to go through the trials and tribulations of becoming an agent. And, with every single deal, you learn something new. Every single deal is so incredibly different than the last. And so, it takes a while to get to that point, but there's definitely a moment in your career where you're like, okay, I think I've made a name for myself, and now I can tell the people how good I am, you know?
I'm still a really kind person, but the dog just came out of me. You could
I love it. I love
It's
it.
exciting talking about neighborhoods, the history, not every, the goods and the bads, and just the creative process. I love it. We will talk about Manhattan. We will talk about Hermosa. We'll talk about Redondo to start. Once again, just kind of breaking it down. Lewis, you and I know the South Bay beach cities of Los Angeles very well, but again, not everyone does. So we're gonna break down all these little neighborhoods, and we're gonna try to talk to utilize this platform here and talk as if we're giving a lot of information that otherwise people don't really know about. Sometimes people, I've lived in New York for a long time, about 7 years on and off, and not everyone knows things beyond what they see on TV. Hollywood's, the Santa Monica's, maybe they've heard of Pasadena, but they don't necessarily know. They've heard of Long Beach, they don't necessarily know. So let's break down all these wonderful neighborhoods, Manhattan, Hermosa, and Redondo. We will start with Redondo Beach, and let's just talk about our own experience with enjoying these neighborhoods and what they have to offer. And we will start again, like I said, with the beautiful Redondo Beach. What's the first thing that strikes out to you as like, what an amazing neighborhood?
Just like that hometown. Like if I could put Redondo Beach in one word, it's hometown.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels it's mom and pop shops still. You have the Pier with restaurants and stores that have been there for the last 50 plus years. Um, you know, Redondo is much more that small town feel.
I really love even the Riviera Village side of things, but then yes, the pier as well. Um, to me, yeah, it's really cool. A wonderful place to just go walking. I mean, walking the beach anywhere you go is always going to be fun. But I do enjoy starting off in Redondo. In fact, one time years ago when I was in better shape, I remember getting on a bicycle and going from Redondo all the way clear into like Marina Del Rey. A long day, no less, but a wonderful day. And a lot of that energy.
And bars, yeah.
Yeah, it starts in Redondo, and there's so much. For me, I keep referencing New York. New York, such a great walking neighborhood. Sometimes the places in Los Angeles, as we see, they're a little compacted, and there's not a lot of walking. But if you go to Redondo Beach, you're definitely going to find some wonderful places to walk. And I've always felt like it was a really beautiful area.
Redondo Beach has a little bit like as far as geography goes, like it has a little bit of everything. You have your, beautiful homes up on a hill with really pretty views and large lots. Then you have, beachfront condos and townhomes. And then you also have really, homes that are, we call them tall and skinny because they're small lots, but they go up 3 or 4 floors and they have your rooftop patio. So you get a little bit of everything. And Redondo, I will say, has that much more of a like young family vibe. If
Mhm.
young family, starting off with your first home, or even
Okay.
building your dream home, but you have kids and stuff where you want your, front yard, your backyard, your tree lined streets, great schools, very walkable.
And do you think there's more space? I think you were kind of alluding to that. So like we'll get to Manhattan Beach later, but like space wise, you feel like there's even a little bit more space in Redondo Beach?
100%. If we're comparing Redondo to Hermosa and Manhattan, which we'll get to,
Hmm.
Redondo has way more, elbow room. You're not
Right.
so right next to your neighbors. You have more room to spread out, more of a backyard or a front yard. We have what we call Hollywood Riviera.
I love the Riviera Village.
Yeah,
And then also another cool thing is sort of what it is surrounded by. You've got like South Torrance, you've got Palos Verdes, very comforting. I feel
yeah.
like growing up so local, yeah, it was a place that the Riviera Village to me, I mean, I wonder how much money I've spent shopping, dining, and just enjoying that neighborhood.
Just to even give you a little bit of a like a walk down memory lane. I mean, that's where when I first turned 21, I would go to the Riviera Village for like cocktail or happy hour, and then we go up to Hermosa Beach, which is where like the more club and
Hmm.
bar scene is. But now that I have a family of my own and we have a beautiful son, we take them down to the Riviera more than anything. That's where we
Yeah.
meet. And it
Yeah.
kind of shows you where you end up.
We will break down Hermosa and Manhattan.
Yeah.
We'll take one little brief moment and then we'll come back and we'll talk about just like final thoughts of Redondo Beach and then Hermosa and Manhattan. But first, you may want to support randomly Ronnie Jr. Why not? So check this out and then we'll talk.
Well, hello there. Thank you for watching and supporting the show with my good friend, Randomly Ronnie Jr. Who the hell am I? Great question. My name is Mark Rodriguez with Mastermind Media, and I wanted to take just a moment of your time to let you know about all the other incredible things this guy, Randomly Ronnie Jr. has going on. But first, before we get into that, please comment, like, and subscribe. That is how he grows here on these channels. But one channel you probably don't know about is patreon.com/randomly Ronnie Jr., where he's got a bunch more exclusive content. So please check that out. But speaking of YouTube, let's go back to YouTube for a second. He's got this hashtag randomly with Ronnie Jr. and it shows all of his stuff in his days in radio from back in the day, all the way up to present day, and his new interviews, podcasts, just videos across the board. So please check that out, because when you think about content creators, there's millions of content creators, but there's only one, Randomly Ronnie Jr. Let's get back into the show.
I certainly have fun. Yeah, talking about Redondo Beach is wonderful. They've got festivals, just a ton of stuff to do. And I think of like all the little locations we've been to over the years. There's a HT Bar and Grill. There's what is it? There's the Hennessy's over there. There's just so many places. I don't need to necessarily name them all.
Where the OC was filmed too. A lot of movies and shows have been filmed on the Redondo Beach Pier. So
Oh yeah, that's that whole yes. Again, and I'll make a note of that how it is in connection with I guess you'd say like filmmaking or Hollywood when we get to Manhattan Beach, because well, I'll wait till we get there. But yeah, Redondo, awesome neighborhood, and we got to move on to Hermosa Beach. Now, when we talk about Hermosa Beach, you referenced, as we were talking about, Redondo gives you this and this and this, but you did kind of make mention that Hermosa does take you back to a time when a little bit more of a party vibe. That's not all that is within the neighborhood, but at the same time, you do reference and do remember those times. Tell me about going out in Hermosa Beach, back in the day. A 22-year-old, 24-year-old, what that was like.
I don't know if I can tell you too much. I can't incriminate myself, but let's just say it was a good time. Hermosa Beach is where you want to go for a good time.
Mm.
Best restaurants, awesome bars. They stay open really late. You have all of Pier Avenue that is lined with bars and restaurants. And so, yeah, I mean, for a young Lewis growing up in the South Bay, those were my stomping grounds.
And also like they've got these gigantic festivals. I believe one of them is like a Memorial Day, and then another one is like a Labor Day. I mean, and it extends, everywhere, and it's really big, very never really any issues or whatnot. It's tons of people, but yet at the same time, like everything is kind of peaceful and harmonious or whatever.
Fiesta Hermosa is coming up. We're like, okay, that's the official start of summer. And then as Fiesta Hermosa comes back for Labor Day, I'm like, okay, summertime is over. But those are the benchmarks that give us like our fun time. So Yeah,
Fiesta
Hermosa is
Hermosa.
incredible. You get a lot of mom and pop. Yeah, they come out and set up tents. They block off all the streets. They have a little carnival set up with a bunch of yummy food and games.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
When when March 2020 happened and things changed, I got to say, for me personally, yes, of course, it was a challenge for everybody. But one of the greatest things that all these neighborhoods, we're speaking on Hermosa right now, I love the outdoor dining that sort of happened. And I feel like I just want that to be, I would love that to be in every neighborhood. But like, there was certainly a thrill, or there is a thrill of eating and having like an outdoor perfect weather for the most part throughout the year vibe. And Hermosa really gives me that in terms of when I go and get a drink or go have something to eat. A couple like memories I think of when I think of Hermosa. For one, when I turned 21, there's a place called the Bottle Inn. Of course, I went to the Bottle Inn when I turned 21. My aunt, my Nina, she took me there, and I like every time I see it, I'm like, wow, this is like a place that I became, like a grown up, 21 years old, which is a long time from now to then. And I also think about other experiences, being so close in the South Bay. Hermosa, myself, some cousins, we would go to the volleyball tournaments that they would have and even be a part of them in some way. Like I felt like we were working on production. I don't know how this happened, but it happened.
No, yeah, 100%. They have the AVP down there, right? So professional volleyball. Yeah, they have volleyball tournaments, surf competitions down there. And then during the summer, they have summer concerts on the beach, which is incredible.
Yeah.
It's free to anybody who wants to come. They put up a big stage on the beach, and every Sunday there's an awesome concert.
Yeah. How do you defer like Redondo to Hermosa? What do you describe differently, or are they pretty much the same yet different, or what do you think?
As far as like neighborhood and feel goes, I would say Hermosa has a much more young vibe to it, just because you do have a lot of single professionals that live there. You don't have as much land as you would in Redondo Beach, but you have beautiful, beachfront homes, multi-million-dollar beachfront homes. And we call them the tall and skinnies because, they're on a small lot, but they're 3-4 stories tall. So the vibe, I would say, is just a much more athletic and sport-oriented city. You got your surf, your volleyball, soccer. I mean, I would say it's just a much youthful town.
Okay, I really want to know. So when you say tall and skinny, in terms of the property, is that something that is a little bit of a challenge with potential buyers? For me, again, I'm always referencing, I love to live in, we've talked about stuff like this before. I love to live where the excitement is,
Yes.
being in New York where just so much was going on, and I lived in every neighborhood for the most part. I liked it, but I don't know that a Southern California laid back vibe likes that density. So I want to know, go ahead.
What stage of life my client is in, or the buyer is in. If you're a young man or woman who is in their professional part of their life, and they're building their careers, and they want a nice beachfront condo or a townhome, that's exactly where you want to be, because you're in the mix of it all. You're walking distance to the bars and restaurants and gyms and salons. Everything that you need is at your fingertips if you're living in Hermosa as a single person. As a family, it's a little harder. You just don't have as much room because the properties are just a little more close together. So I would say it just really depends on like the stage in life that you're in.
I wanted to ask you that question because, again, it's not like a difficult question or whatever, but I do think people probably have that. And so, again, we all have different things on how we want to run our lives. For me, I like the excitement, but I will give acknowledgement that that's not for everyone. But what I would say, if I was, a real estate, tycoon in the making, I would say, what you lose in terms of the things that you thought were, super traditional. Don't think of like what your backyard looks like the beach is your backyard, and there's all these other elements. So I think that's the thing that I love about learning about neighborhoods, talking about neighborhoods, is like, it really isn't, in a weird way, it's like a la carte. Like, you get exactly what you want based on who you are. So again, you don't have this item, you might have this item. You don't have this thing you thought was a deal breaker, but guess what? Did you know you have this, and this? So yeah, Hermosa, man, was It's lots of great stories. Again, 21 years old, having my first drink at a nice establishment was the Bottle Inn, and so every time I drive or walk by the Bottle Inn, I'm like, oh, it's so nice. Yeah.
That restaurant, we have great memories there. That was our second date with Casey and I, and
Oh.
they have
So you're very familiar with it.
very familiar. Some of the best steak risotto ever.
Yeah, yeah, I love that place. It's got a special place in my heart, and clearly
Yeah.
for you two as well.
If I'm not going to get into price points, but I will say, from Redondo Beach to Hermosa Beach, you're going up in price point. Like we're in an upward trajectory here on our way to talk about Manhattan. Now we're talking about a whole nother price point. So we're definitely going up.
Okay. All right, let's break down the neighborhood of Manhattan Beach. Like you said, the price point is a big jump. I wonder if you were to explain it, and I'll weigh in too on what I like about it. What are the things that Manhattan Beach offers that are just so different? What does Manhattan Beach bring? Because I feel like it brings a lot of things, and that's why it's probably what it is.
No, it definitely does. And I would say Manhattan Beach is the product of Redondo and Hermosa having a baby.
Say it again.
Manhattan Beach is as if Redondo and Hermosa had a baby, because in Manhattan Beach is significantly larger than both of them.
Mm-hmm.
You have sections in Manhattan Beach, whereas like in Redondo and Hermosa you don't really. You have North Redondo, but that's a different neighborhood. In Manhattan Beach, you have East Manhattan, you have west of PCH, so closer to the beach side. We have the hill section, the sand section. Technically speaking, you can find your beachfront home with lots of land, a backyard, a proper front yard. And so you get a little bit of what you get in Redondo Beach and beach aspect of Hermosa, but in Manhattan. Of course, you're going to be paying a premium, but it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've realized, again, growing up in the South Bay area, but then always being in neighborhoods like Studio City, Burbank, or whatnot, because I worked in radio for so many years.
Yeah.
I realized that also, though, I've had a lot of Manhattan Beach experiences. I didn't even necessarily realize. I mean, I worked near the Manhattan Village, which that had got a huge revamp. The complex that's next to, I believe that's what it's called, the Manhattan Village.
Yeah.
The complex next to it, which is closer to El Segundo, that didn't even exist back in the day. And also, here's where you get a little more, like I think you mentioned this earlier.
Where the OC was filmed too. A lot of movies and shows have been filmed on the Redondo Beach Pier.
A little bit of Hollywood bleeding in to some degree. Not Hollywood per se, but there is the Raleigh Studios, which I will tell you, when I was, I think, 19 or 20 or 21 years old, I used to be an extra on some of those shows that were at Raleigh Studios. Yeah. David E. Kelly had all these shows at the time. There was the one with Calista Flockhart. Boston Public was one of the shows I did all the time. So I was an extra in Manhattan Beach. So it was like the best of both worlds. It was like South Bay living, beach cities, but then Hollywood right there, but at the Raleigh Studios. This was like such a cool experience when I was sort of getting into the business, I guess you would say, of doing extra work.
A little bit of everything. You got your studios there. You have a lot of corporate companies that work out of Manhattan Beach, towards the east side of Manhattan Beach. Big corporations are, multinational corporations. Sports teams, right? You have the LA Kings that work out right down the street, and the Lakers that work out right down the street. So yeah, it's kind of a melting pot, but you definitely get a lot of that Hollywood, Beverly Hills people coming this way. Yeah.
Now talk about, because I believe I've always heard that with the sports, the professional Los Angeles sports teams, a lot of the facilities or training facilities are like kind of in El Segundo. So there is a lot of these, big world-class athletes who dip into Manhattan Beach, either living there or coming to the fine dining and stuff like that. That's another thing that is a little bit different. Redondo, fun, amazing, great places to eat and all these things, just like Hermosa. But Manhattan is like, they get busy. Manhattan is where you get to have a really wonderful culinary experience.
On any given day, you go down there for dinner or cocktail or happy hour, have some cocktails with friends. You'll run into an athlete. You'll rub elbows with somebody. If we're down at North End Bar or on the pier in Manhattan, you got a Kings player right down the street, or in the same bar as you. in my case, I used to work down in Manhattan Beach. I worked at a little cafe as I was transitioning into real estate. And Kendrick Lamar came in every single day for breakfast. He lived right down the street. And so he'd come in, order his thing, and just sit at the bar and just chill. So yeah, you get a lot of celebrity out there.
Yeah, it's a great neighborhood. I could talk on and on about all these neighborhoods, and I think you made a great mention, which is just how big Manhattan Beach is. It's broken up into so many different neighborhoods within the neighborhood. So I definitely like that. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that maybe took for granted of Manhattan Beach years ago was all that you could do there. I feel like my mind was like, this is what it is. But then again, lately I'm like, no, there's like fine dining here, but also cool, chill neighborhoods or
Yes.
chill restaurants as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the city. I think the city takes a lot of pride in making sure that it stays as beautiful as it is.
Um, uh, just in terms of geography, I guess the dunes was also a thing as well at one point, right?
Still is. But the dunes. So for those who are watching and listening that don't know, the dunes are literally sand dunes in the middle of a neighborhood. And it was very popular to work out at, and it still is. But it's become such a popular destination that now you have
Mhm.
to reserve spots to go in and work out there.
I want to stay on that because one thing I do love is, wherever you're walking in any of these neighborhoods, Redondo, Hermosa, or Manhattan, amazing. But the Strand specifically, I guess it feels like it starts in Hermosa, but it certainly extends. I
Yeah.
think that's one thing that, like, however you feel about, oh my gosh, these neighborhoods, I'll never be able to afford them. Of course, we always say, try to, hope that maybe one day you can do it. Obviously, like, it's expensive.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say that for me, one thing that is so motivating to try to achieve something like that and to live in those places is the okay, as somebody who struggled with my weight, I love being around just everyone walking, jogging, running, on a bike, on a skateboard. Like there's something that really just connects to you. Volleyball, running in the sand. That mess is cool to me, Lewis.
100%. And it's in our backyard. We grew up with it. And we're definitely fortunate enough that we did grow up so close to it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's probably the best part of living down in the beach cities.
Beach City, South Bay.
Where
South
we
Bay, not to be confused with South Bay in San Francisco.
South Bay, the real South Bay.
Yeah, yeah. This is like the little pocket of the South Bay.
It has something for everybody. No matter what you're into, there's something that you can do that you'll thoroughly enjoy with either walking distance or a short drive. LA is huge, but there's just so much to do, and I think that's super special.
Yeah, it is a special place. People do love it, and I always like to stretch our imagination where we don't just say, "Oh, I love LA" or wherever you love because of this, this, and this. I'm always like, let's talk about more. Let's like really explore it. That's what makes neighborhoods really exciting. Looking at like the history and the future and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's exciting to me. Just so we do a little bit of a
Yeah.
plug and a promo. The social media handle and your website is on the screen, and of course, all my stuff as well. Tell me a little bit about the Palacios Group and how it's thriving and what you intend to do.
So the Palacios Group was really when I first started in real estate, I was working on someone else's team, and I thought that was prudent of me only in order for me to like really learn the basics. And when you go to real estate school, they don't really teach you how to do real estate. They teach you the fundamentals of what real estate is, but not so much how to run a business and how to carry yourself and how to become a successful agent. And so I worked for a team for a little bit, and then I realized that I was able to do it on my own. So that's when I started the Palacios Group. I hired on a couple of agents that work for me now, and rather work with me now because we're such a collaborative team.
Mhm.
What the future holds, who knows? But the idea is to grow it into a bigger team,
Mhm.
of like-minded agents who love this business, who are passionate about this business, and who just want to be able to do it the right way, and make sure that people are informed and are successful in what they want to do.
Yeah.
So our slogan, our tagline is creating generational wealth. We want to be able to make sure that everyone, at one point owns real estate, and if not more, multiple homes, and leaves something to to their families or leaves a legacy through real estate, because it's really the biggest way, or the best way to create wealth.
I have not seen you lose your enthusiasm for this kind of work, so that's really cool to see.
Yeah, you know what? It's because I really do love it. I really am passionate about making sure that everybody, who my clients and people who want to buy homes and use us as their agents, are treated the right way and are doing it with the best information possible. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this business has its ups and downs. This past year is probably the most challenging year I've had. Not so far as like business itself, but the transactions. There was a couple of them that really threw me through the loop. But yeah, I love this. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, I guess that's it for me. I'm just a student right now learning. Thank you. Go to the Palacios group on Instagram, and of course, hit his website and all these things. If you had any questions about these neighborhoods and other neighborhoods in Los Angeles, you think of like Palm Springs as an amazing, there's so many things we could explore there,
Yeah, and that's a secondary market for us. So while we do concentrate our efforts here in the South Bay, the Coachella Valley, Palm Springs, Palm Desert, Rancho Mirage, if anybody's watching or listening, we take care of that market as well.
Until the next time, Louis Palacios, thank you for your time, and we will talk to you.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.